Hey, Scott. I understand you have birthday presents for me. I don't guess they're birthday presents. They're Christmas presents from.
Well, it's Jesus' birthday, but yes.
I know it. Yeah. Oh, wait a
Yes.
second. I got to turn off Scott Adams rambling on in the background. There we
Oh
go. I
my
did it.
gosh. Okay.
I tell you what,
Um,
there's certain people that you allow them to just yammer. One of them is anyway, I'll get back to that maybe or maybe not.
yeah, we
Go ahead.
might be careful.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I have a transistor radio, literally, that I keep in my car strictly because I listen to talk radio while I'm at lunch.
Uh
And a lot of
huh.
times it's turned down so low I can barely hear it, but
Yeah.
I do. It's just noise. It's white
it's like
noise.
subliminal learning, I guess, is what I imagine is going on with me. I don't know.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I got a couple things. My studio is a wreck. I had to clean up downstairs, and everything had to go somewhere, and so a lot of it went in my studio, and so my studio is more of a wreck than it normally is. So bear with me for just a
That's got
moment.
to happen in my house too. I've got to just upend everything
Oh gosh, I don't.
and organize it again.
I've got too much stuff, and Tuesday my wife and I are going to Tulsa to go shopping. So, okay, Barry sent some books for you,
Oh my
some
goodness.
comics. He's collecting these, and he bought. Now one of these is mine, but he got two copies of this.
Oh my
It's a
gosh.
Frank Frazetta comic called "Baby, You're Really Something," and it's Frazetta's illustration from some men's magazines.
Yes. Oh baby. Yeah.
So and it's
Using
all
himself and
female.
Ellie as the human ideal.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think, yeah, that doesn't look like Frank's Lizetta. I
That
don't know.
looks like Frank. That looks like Ellie.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. She was
It's not
very Kirby.
really, I mean, well, you can be the judge of whether you think it's whatever. But anyway,
Oh, it's
he ended up
beautiful.
with two copies of that. So I got one of those. But one's for you. Then he also, I don't know if I can show, I guess I can show this. The
Well,
collected
yeah.
purple
Oh, Bode.
pictography of Vaughn Bode. And I
And
haven't
Bernie
opened
Wrightson.
this.
What did Bernie Wrightson do in
I
the
don't know. Let me
collaborative
flip through it.
process?
I haven't opened this yet because it's the
Yeah,
only
you
one
may
that's
have to.
sealed.
It may
But
be
yeah, maybe I better
in
look
the
at it before I
SF
put it.
way, whatever.
Yeah, I
Safe
don't know
for
if I.
work.
I'll hang on just a second. I'll flip through it and then I'll see if it's
As
suitable for.
a general rule, he would have vulgar dialogue that wasn't particularly reinforced by the
The
visuals.
images.
Yeah, but
If I can get it, here we go.
he had very fun nudes. I mean, they were great.
For example.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay, let me flip through it and see. Um.
I mean,
Oh,
he
this
never
is
was gruesome with sexual stuff.
no. It's comics.
Yeah,
It's a lot of comics. Um.
I love Vaughn Bode. I've got. I should include it in the links below. A blog post I made where I scanned. I had this student at Otis that shared with me how much he loved Vaughn Bode. I said, "Well, I'll scan my little book of Deadbone Erotica for you," and did it, and then gave him the URL to the blog, and it's still there, and it's a
So
beautiful thing to have.
here's the third thing. Hot
Yes,
stuff number 5. I don't know what this is, but there is a
it's
Richard
basically
Corben.
it's like a fanzine,
It kind
right?
of looks
No,
like that.
it's beyond being a
Well, it's a
fanzine.
comic. I mean, it's a
Hmm.
comic, but
It's
produced by Mad Otter Pool Studios of Kansas City, Missouri. So this probably came out of it's
Corbin's
published by
neighborhood. Corbin's
it's
neighborhood,
published
Kansas
by
City.
Saw Q. So Saw Q was a publisher of uh, stuff back in the day.
Mhm. Oh,
Um,
the
it's got the
just
Neil Adams
published.
art of Neil Adams ad in the back. A
Wow.
bunch of stuff. Yeah. Barry acquired these and is sending you some. I don't know when.
When
I'll
we
see you
see each
next.
other again,
And we will see. I hope so.
are you
I don't know
going? Are
when.
you downtown tomorrow?
I am downtown tomorrow, but I don't know what time. I'm going to be late because Michelle. I don't work tomorrow at all,
Ah, well, I
and
could go. I
but
could go
okay.
downtown and
But
just meet you somewhere.
well, I've got a guy that is coming to uh, do maintenance on my heating unit, my
Oh, okay.
furnace, and my. But well, I mean, it's not anything big. It's just it's an annual thing that they do,
Hmm.
but it's scheduled for tomorrow, and
And
so I have to.
you got to be
It's at
around.
8:30. I'll be
Hmm.
down there noonish. Would you want to meet
Okay.
me around noon?
Yeah, I can come down there noon. You bet. And
Okay.
just to pick up his stash and take it off your hands. You bet.
Let me watch your email in the morning, and I'll email you more definitive time.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Now we don't have to
Okay.
do it. I mean, if it interferes with how
No, no,
the
no. I was
flow of
gonna.
your day was going to go, we don't have to
Well,
do
I
it.
was gonna. So here's what I was gonna do. Michelle's going to the doctor out in Yukon at like 9:30, I think. And when she gets done, I said, "Why don't you come by the house, and then we'll ride back to your work together,
Hmm.
and then I will stay downtown until you get off work, and then we can go do something." So
Hmm.
I'd planned on being downtown most of the afternoon, or if not all the afternoon. But then the weather's not supposed to be bad. It's supposed to be pretty nice tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, all these
It's going to be overcast, but it's not
the,
going to
these
rain.
these muggy days, they if it's not blowing too hard, it's really nice. It kind of wraps you up in a kind of little fog blanket.
Yeah, yeah. It's
You
it's
feel
the
good.
good humidity, not the bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, couple more things before I start drawing.
Okay.
This is my you.
Yeah.
If you can
Oh
see
my, I
it.
had no idea you work so large.
Oh,
Wow.
11 by
Sweet.
17, man. I drew this bigger than I draw my comics. Well, there's a lot
Yes, you
in
went
there.
all the way to the edge, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, this is my for anybody that might be watching. Is anybody watching?
Let me solo you and see if I can get it. If solo, it'll be twice as wide and all that.
Oh, there we go.
Wait a second. Solo layout. There you go.
Hang on.
Now try it. Now we're going.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So normally in the past I've done
It's not
a
sharp for some reason.
yeah, I don't
I'm
know why
hoping
it's
it
blurry. Let's see.
sharpens up when it holds still for a second.
It'll never hold
Hey,
still.
YouTube user, that sounds kind of anonymous. Says, "Hey guys, wow, Wim, wow, I caught you two live. Yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah,
And then
well,
it
we,
says,
we we haven't been live because I've been going to Christmas parties on Thursdays.
"Yeah, that's
Uh,
right."
so,
Oh, it says Dan here. Dan here is YouTube user,
oh,
and
Dan is okay. So, I normally in the past I
there we go.
have did it. Oh,
Yeah,
there
it
you go,
sharpened
cleared
up.
up. Yeah, it stopped shaking. It's still a little blurry, but anyway. So in the past I have sent out Christmas cards. I haven't done it for about 5 years. When I was doing Heaven's Rejects, I didn't feel like it was necessary, so I kind of stopped doing it. And I haven't done it. Well, I found myself with a little bit of free time, and so I thought I'm gonna work on something. And I thought, well, I'd do a Christmas card, and so I sent out. So I did this, and the actual one. This is the art, but the actual one I did halftone on, or screen tone. That's what I'm calling it. Kind of like I did on some other projects that people seem to respond to. And so I sent this out. Oh, I sent it out to a few people that I've worked with over the years, and then I've sent it out to editors I submitted stuff to, and I sent it out to my friend that is high up at Marvel. I won't say
Hmm.
who it is, and I sent it to my former publisher, and I sent it to the writer of Heaven's Rejects,
Hmm.
and and I sent it to our potential, hopefully, new publisher. Hopefully, the publisher Black Cricket, Ben Dunn of Antarctic Press. Ben Dunn got back with me really quick. It was like, oh, yeah. And I sent him a note saying, I'm practically local because you're in Dallas. I'm in Oklahoma City. I'd love to come by the studio, sometime if it's ever open. He's like, oh, yeah, love to have you. So anyway, he got back with me, and the writer of Heaven's Rejects got back with me. Everyone else I sent to is nothing but crickets, which is a little frustrating because in the past I would get a lot of responses to my sending out a card. I'm not done. I may send out some more. I almost feel like I'm too late, but I was just sending it out and not getting any response back. It was a little discouraging, I gotta say. But Dan, so I did two versions. One version says, Merry Christmas from Scott Sackett. And I did one that's from the studio, which I'm not going to attempt to say the name of the studio, but it's Japanese. Anyway, so Dan, I think
Dan says Kaiju Santa rocks, and he says he shared it on Facebook and people love it.
Oh, good.
And the fact Ben got back to you is good. That is a great sign. I was seeing something about some YouTube guy sharing all his multi-million-dollar making secrets. He was he was a guy that did the comic book What You Feed Eats You or something like that. It was some sort of title that went over really big, and it kind of launched his career as a writer. So then he was telling and his big secret at the end of it was being lucky enough that he got into a good relationship with a publisher very early on that had it was kind of like a startup and all that. You guys hooking up with a publisher, I think, is the oh, here we go. He wants you to say the name. Kawaiora.
Well, you took it off.
Kawaiora.
Kawaiora Comic Studio.
Oh,
Comics Studio.
Okay. Well, it's obviously an Indian name. No, it's not obvious. It could be Japanese. I don't know.
I believe it's Japanese.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's funny. The writer of Heaven's Rejects was like, and I sent him an email. I was like, oh man, I'm sorry it didn't go over better. And someone I told, I said, the only thing I regret is that the publisher didn't support us more. Because I think the book would have done the first issue sold around 5,000 copies, which when I tell people that work in indie comics, they're like, well, that's really good. And they just didn't. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if they genuinely didn't like it, or if they didn't like. I think they didn't like the writer. Some of the people in the office, in between the time we got picked up and the time we put out the book, they hired a bunch of people in the office, and I think they just hated the writer, and they weren't going to do anything to see us succeed, and that's unfortunate because, I volunteered on my own dime to go to New York Comic Con to help sell the book. They had a booth, and they were like, well, no, we got it covered. They were like, well, everybody wants to go to New York Comic Con. I'm like, yeah, but are they willing to pay their own way? Sure, they want a free trip, and they probably do. There are a lot of people want to go, but I was like, I'll go and I'll pay. And I just want to be told, hey, we're going to sell your book, show up and sell it. And I would have made it happen. Mm-hmm. But they just, like I said, they were against the project. I was promising things that never happened.
Dan says that two words translate as scary horror.
Scary horror. Yeah, I remember that. But
they knew you were meant for bigger things. Yeah, that's right. The guys that let you down.
It was a good learning experience, but ultimately, ultimately, like, the project kind of made me uncomfortable, and it wasn't really what I wanted to. I really want to
Yeah.
be doing superhero
It wasn't
comics.
it wasn't a super good fit for you. No.
No,
It
and
was immediately challenging as the basically it's what was the name of the little girl trio in
oh, Charlie's
uh
Angels.
yes, but what was the name of the Fox so and so 5 or whatever that the one talks about in Pulp Fiction? I guess it's Uma
Oh,
Thurman.
Fox Force 5 or something like
Yeah,
that.
Fox Force 5 in Pulp Fiction. Yeah, that's what you were involved with. You had to say, okay, let's do Fox Force 5, and that just wasn't playing to your strengths, you know.
Well, there was a lot of things. Early on, I questioned the amount of profanity in the book, and the writer was kind of going for it. And I'm not trying to be critical of the writer, but he was kind of going for an edgy kind of thing,
Uh huh.
like a
Yep.
like a James Gunn, and he just like, oh, trust me, it'll work. And I think that turned off some people.
Hmm.
And when it came out, people wanted to buy it, and I felt like I had to be like apologetic for it. And I was like, I don't want to do something I got to apologize for.
No, you can't do that. It's
I've
got to be
considered, I don't,
because
I've
it is
considered take,
yours. Yeah.
I've considered taking the art. It's my art. I thought about taking it and
Purposing.
rewriting it with new
Yeah.
dialogue,
Yes.
and then going in and doing halftones on it. Just maybe
Hmm.
the first issue, and then maybe like self-publishing it or something. But
Yes.
I don't know. I don't necessarily want to burn any bridges with the writer. You know.
Well, you've left his stuff behind at that point.
Hmm.
Unless he thinks it some sort of screams from the page what he'd written there. I guess
Yeah,
it's hard to say. Does it scream from the page what he'd written?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so. I think you could very easily submerge. For one thing, you could treat it like the old what do they call those writers that used to write a bunch of notions on index cards, throw them up in the air, and then whatever order they started restacking them in is how they wrote whatever project they were on. I'm thinking of
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
William S. Burroughs and
yeah, like the
that sort of
beats.
era.
Is that a beat thing?
Yeah, a beat. Yeah, the beats. Yeah, the beats would take that on as a way to approach things. Yeah,
Yeah, and I've seen where people have done that with like Golden Age comics that are
sure.
public domain.
Oh
They've
yeah.
taken and redone it. So, and so that leads. I wanted to show you something. Okay, so I have a Marvel day by day calendar. I don't know if you can see this,
Uh
Ellis.
huh. I see it.
And this was today's. This is Avengers, and I now normally I'll pull them off, and if they're interesting, I'll keep them. But if they're kind of not interesting, I'll throw them away. This one I thought was great because I love that drawing of Valkyrie. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah. Her
That's
little
like, to
leaning
me,
against her pole.
that's what women should look like in comic books.
Yeah,
She's not
sure. Yeah.
necessarily extra, but
She doesn't have
nothing.
on she doesn't have on a butt floss bikini. She's
No,
got
no. This is this is reasonable, I think.
of course, every girl that's drawn basically is a nude. The figure is just
Yeah.
totally skin tighted. I mean, if you were to extrapolate what you're looking at all nudes in superhero comic books. you know,
Yes, especially if you're in a figure drawing class.
yeah, sure.
So I picked this up this week, or it came in. I bought it off of eBay. It's in a little rougher shape than I hoped, but I've got this idea I want. I have a couple of them, but I was like, oh, you know what? I want a Treasury edition. And the reason why, I don't know if you can tell how big this is. This thing's huge. It's probably 11 by 14.
It's big, huh?
It is big, and it's got the main story is by Gil Kane. I picked up this one in particular, though.
So it's you got some Gil Kane going on with is he doing the vampire character? It didn't look like Gil
Yes,
Kane.
yes, Morbius, and it's got the
Uh,
X. This is This is the Astonishing Spider-Man. It's got the
Huh.
X-Men in it. And then, which I got the Gil Kane artist. This is what I really wanted, though. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, not this one. Well, this is
Ghost
Mark St.
Rider
Andrew,
and Spider-Man.
but it's so big. I just wanted this to study the.
Yeah,
I think it's
the oversizedness of it is nice. It's like your own little cheap pulp. What do they call those special editions? Yeah.
like an artist edition or something.
Yeah, the
So this
IDF
is
or
what I
whatever they are.
wanted. I knew that the third story was drawn by Jim Mooney, who I love Jim Mooney, um, but I don't have outside like Supergirl. I don't have a bunch of his stuff, but I just wanted to see. I mean, there's kind of a I don't know some of the bronze. I'm trying to do more Bronze Age style stuff, and I like how the buildings are drawn.
Hmm.
It's almost like a code. That's cool.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of YouTube guys that are sharing what they consider their comic book secrets that are, really good artists.
Yeah.
Well, like your David Finches and stuff that, obviously are just great artists, but, you know, it is cool to hear somebody's process talked out loud. And it's,
One thing I've
you can get a
realized,
lot.
one thing I've realized recently is, you know, you, and this kind of goes back to that Valkyrie drawing I had. Most of this like superhero stuff. You always hear, you work on your anatomy if you want to draw comics. It's like, man, most of it is very simplistic. You know,
Well,
it's
I heard this great little, gotta pull a Mooney. Yep.
yeah,
That's from Dan.
yes,
And he also says those are the early Marvel team ups, right? Yeah.
yes, I believe so.
Uh, I heard a great guy, one of these guys I was listening to talk about comics. He was studying Kirby for style, but he said,
Yeah,
okay, what? And his final thing was, okay, what is style? And he goes, style equals shorthand. And
yep,
so he's talking about how Kirby's shorthand for how he did things, had changed over the years, and he mainly focused on a couple little of the little rendering tropes of Kirby's
yep,
and all that, and it is just all about your shorthand. What where do you say you finished? With your rendering.
yeah,
And it's always going to be shorthand because you are, after all, transferring ink to paper. There's
right. You're
nothing
not
real
doing
going to actually emerge from the page.
yes,
Oh yes, remember Alex Toth's motto. I'm going to have to say Toth because lately I've been seeing a lot of Alex Toth lately on my YouTube feed. And let's hear that Alex Toth motto. What is the motto?
was it Toth that said simplify, simplify,
Oh,
simplify?
I bet that might be it. Uh,
Or
I saw
I know
someone.
Wally Wood said, "Don't draw what you can trace, and don't trace
Yeah,
what you can." I forget
yeah,
the
steal.
mantra.
It's basically said, yeah, steal it, man. Don't be stupid.
A lot
Get
of
get
AI
get
people have
started
taken
from a
that to
point
heart.
that gets you there quicker.
Yeah.
Okay, strip everything down and draw the hell out of what is left. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah. That's yep, yep.
big shapes. Just that's always going to be more appealing to just, especially with regards to we talk about appealing women. Strip it
Yeah.
down to
Hey, that
strip
Valkyrie,
it
there's
down
a
to
lot to
nothing.
her. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah. It's
it's
just
all
your shape.
shapes, just
Yeah.
shapes. Yeah, I agree. The yeah, well, of course, who I studied a lot of John Byrne. Speaking of Heaven's Rejects, at our age Heaven's Rejects, I studied a lot of John Byrne, traced a lot of it, redrew a bunch of it in my sketchbook, and I think my figure drawing got a lot better after realizing I kind of feel like I kind of broke the code on how he drew the figure. Kind of, I wouldn't say I mastered it, but
Well, no,
it's kind of like,
your little Christmas card is showing off a lot of your growth over the past couple of years. It really does look a lot better on clothing folds and a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
thank
that,
you.
You could say. Oh, and I another thing I got off YouTube. I said, well, I'm going to look that up. There's a PDF of that out there, and the famous artist course on composition. Guy needs to have that around. Have you got all the famous artist course?
Yes, I got all 3 books or 4 books. How many books it is? I think it's 3. Yes, I ordered that off of eBay, I bought it off of eBay. Back at one point they were really expensive. I think I paid $50 for the set, which I don't know I have no idea what they go for now. I'm surprised that's out of print. It's well, a lot of the material, I mean, I don't know if people would look at it and want to, it
would seem dated, but that the composition stuff is just solid gold. And believe me, you get your composition right, you're done. Even when it's reduced to a thumbnail, once it's blown up and it reveals that you can't draw a damn thing. But if that composition is great and you spot your blacks in a pleasing way, you'll think you're looking at a masterpiece just because of that. Just that element of composition. You'll blow it up and say, well, that's disappointing, but that little bitty thumbnail will say, hey, let me have that comic book. That looks great.
Yes.
Oh, another thing. Have you ever seen Asteroid City? They're showing that on Prime now.
No. What's it about?
Well, catch up with that. You talk about something that is pleasing on about 1 million different levels. I don't think the critics liked it, but the color palette and the cuteness of the whole storytelling and all that is really fun. It's kind of fun that I'm not paying anything extra for it. I think the thing most people are bugged by, and I can't say I'm not bugged by it a little bit, because all you can do is say, now, what if Bill Murray had been doing the Tom Hanks part? It would have been a lot better. But, you're stuck with what you got. And there's Tom Hanks.
That kind of casting is like, well.
Yep. It was Bill Murray's part to take, but he had something going on. I forget what.
Oh, so he could have literally been in it. He was considered.
Oh, yeah. He's supposed to be in it. He's supposed to be in it.
No telling.
I'm drawing my little bitty figure study straight out of the ballpoint. This one was kind of a dud, but that's all right. As a matter of fact, they're all kind of duds, but they're lively looking.
Kind of Western looking duds, aren't they?
Yeah,
that one guy.
Yeah, this one guy's got a shotgun. He's more like a CD looking gangster, maybe. This guy's just a punk from the alleyways of metropolitan America, of what used to be metropolitan America.
Every town.
Yeah.
Is now inhabited.
Back when Harlan Ellison wrote Delinquent, and it appeared on Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and had Chekhov in it as the delinquent.
Oh,
What's his name? Walter Koenig.
Nice.
That was the first time I ever heard of an idea that intrigued me and excited the imagination. It's like, could I survive that if I had to go through it? Where he went through a belt line. He was going to go down the middle of a bunch of people that were all going to hit him with belts.
Yeah.
And he picked up the guy closest to the beginning of it, put him over his back, and the fireman carried away and made it all the way through the end of the belt line.
Nice. Who Harlan Ellison did?
No. Well, Walter Koenig, I think. But you know what? It may have been Walter Koenig and James Caan. I have to check the cast on that. I think it's more
James
like
Caan could survive anything. Dude.
Yes. James Caan could pick you up and run you through the belt line with you. Yeah. I think that's it. I think that was the casting on it. Koenig was the resident hoodlum that Caan was having to convince that he was one of them. Yeah, I think that's how that went.
Gotcha.
And this is something that Ellison actually did in his life. He actually said, "I'm going to run with some delinquents and see what it's all about. It's research." Yeah.
I forget the name. I have that book somewhere around here.
What was that book called?
I want to say it's Hell's Angels, but I don't think that's right because it wasn't the Hell's Angels. It was a gang. It was some kind of gang.
Yeah, Harlan Ellison's gang book.
Blood on the Sand. Oh, no. Wild in the Street, I'm predicting.
No. Memos from Purgatory. Of course, that's the name of it. Yep. And I believe that's what the Alfred Hitchcock Presents was named, too.
Oh, yeah. I've got it. I've never read it.
Yeah, I think I read it once a long time ago. Speaking of Wes Anderson and Asteroid City, I guess it's not Prime, though. You have to switch over to Netflix to watch all of his Roald Dahl adaptations, which are, again, just super cute things. They're little short stories.
Are they animated?
No, they're live action with.
Oh gosh!
Typically, what's Cumberpatch? Benedict Cumberpatch is in a lot of them. He's got the same cast in almost all of them, and they're a lot of fun because they have the moving sets of how Wes Anderson just designs the whole thing. You know, it's these really cool 2D sets and everything.
Yeah.
But he had one called.
I think he may have one eye.
You think so? No, I don't. No, like Raoul Walsh. Yeah. Raoul Walsh was, and that's funny because Raoul Walsh did the House of Wax, which was, I think, just about the first big 3D movie.
Oh,
Here he is. He's got one eye.
He scared the fire out of me.
Yeah. Let's see. And one of the Roald Dahl stories was one that was, Alfred Hitchcock Presents made great use of Roald Dahl. They did several stories. Yeah, several of his stories were done for Alfred Hitchcock Presents. But this one I remember really, really well. It was called Poison, about a guy that is lying super still and whispering for everybody that comes across him because he's got a crate in bed with him. It's a extremely poisonous snake and he can't move. And so he has to wait until everybody has done everything they can for him to where they're ready to take the sheets off of him and all that. And of course it turns out, hey, it's gone. And then everybody's, accusing him of being a crazy. And one guy, especially kind of a rival tormentor kind of guy, was one of the guys present. And, he gives him literal hell for everything and laughs at him on the way out the door. And this is where Hitchcock decided, I guess, or the creative crew behind the whole thing said, well, Raoul, you're great, but we need a real twist ending. And so they had the bad guy lay down in bed, and then it starts all over only for him. The snake was in the bed, and so he's got to lay really still.
No one wants to help him because he's a jerk.
Yeah. I think everybody's, as a matter of fact, I think everybody's already split the scene when he lays down in bed and discovers the snake is there. Well, I've got this really badly getting up close to my doggone fingernails. Anyway, they're always in bad shape, but this particular
Good
one,
grief! What'd you do?
this particular one is, I call it my popcorn ball fingernail. I had one time where I tried to on my own recreate the idea of the popcorn balls I used to love when I was a little kid. They used to make
Yeah,
them in Arkansas.
yeah.
So I got that molasses
Oh gosh,
going,
got a good high.
got it all molten and everything, and I got just a little dab of that molten molasses on that fingernail, and I've never since experienced such pain. It was like being
Cool.
burned in
Tortured.
hell, and finally it quit hurting. Finally got it off, and that fingernail never quite grew out the same. It's still it's still very ragged looking. That looks like something that would be on a hunchback. I don't know.
Oh, the scars you acquire.
Yeah, it's life.
That's life. Yep.
Speaking of molten molasses, I've been making a healthy candy bar lately. Where I think I told you about that. Where
Oh yeah,
I
you
put
put nuts and
stir
honey.
molasses, honey, and maple syrup together, and shredded coconut and oats. Stir that all up and put a generous bunch of molten butter into it and stir it all up. But then I just added the final ingredient. I said, hey, this is almost a candy bar. I got some unsweetened chocolate, pure cocoa,
Oh yeah.
a bar of chocolate, melted that up, stirred it into it because the big experiment is to not add any sweetener. Let's see if the
Yeah.
molasses will sweeten it up. And man, that is the best candy bar. I've made my own Baby Ruth's. It was pretty tasty.
Yeah, you were telling me that about that last time I saw you.
Yeah, just
Your
take
little
it straight out of the freezer.
experiment.
Yeah.
So what'd you do today, Ellis?
Well, I got the X, and the X, I tell you, is that relentless thing. I have been writing 30 minutes a day for the past 7.5 months, and I am about 16 pages away, and they should be easily written pages away from having a novelization of my script, The Locust Bride.
Get out of
And I
here.
am, I'm kind of proud of the whole thing. I can't wait to have it out there to be read. I think there'll be some people like this thing. It comes on the heels of old Razor Fist coming out with his weird western, and Razor Fist, of course, claiming that the weird western is going to be a big deal. So I might be one of those guys that accidentally catches a rising,
Boat, tide,
yeah,
something.
tide, whatever, one of
Right.
those things.
Catch the wave.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Weird westerns. I'm trying to think though of anyone I truly like western that decided to get supernatural or anything like that. I mean, nobody liked cowboys and aliens,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
you love a comic book. It doesn't mean you're gonna love a movie.
well, and that comic book, the publisher pulled some strings. They sent out a bunch of free comics or free trades to a bunch of stores, hoping to get its sale numbers artificially up.
Uh-huh.
Because there was a lot of talk at one point about publishers doing that kind of crap to try and
Well,
catch
since
the eye of movie people.
yeah, that's the whole point these days. I mean, that's the whole point of DC Comics. People wondering why would anybody kill their IP with all this woke crap they're doing? It's like, it's because there's no point. The comics aren't making any money, and
Right.
trying to salvage or kind of pump up what money you might make from comics is nothing compared to what you're actually after, which is that Hollywood money. That's all
Yeah,
you're
I mean
there for.
theoretically, but here's the thing. I think a lot of that. I think that comic book Hollywood thing is overrated
Oh,
because
by now it is, yes.
most comic book adaptions of non big two comics have kind of failed, and there've been a lot of them, and they don't seem to catch fire like some of the Marvel or
Let's,
DC stuff, and even that stuff
oh,
is,
look, we got a Cowboys and Aliens fan. I liked it. Harrison Ford's best film in forever.
I don't know. The
The
Dawn of the
message must get
Destiny is
out.
on Disney.
Even if the character and stories suck. Well, that's the deal. I mean, it's got to work on so many levels. And I like the guy, that James Bond guy. I can't think of his name. Oh, Daniel Craig.
Um, yeah,
Daniel
Daniel
Craig.
Craig.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I
he's
think
okay.
the actress was, couldn't be a lovelier actress. Can't think of her name.
She's an actress. That's her job.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm trying. She's no Valkyrie.
Well, that's the deal. When uh, you have this organization just full of geniuses at Pixar, and instead of doing uh, the Edgar Rice Burroughs story the way it should have been done, the name will occur to me eventually. Uh, they did
Princess of
it.
Mars, or what? I
Yes,
forget what they
yes.
called it.
Princess of Mars is good enough, so that people. Oh, John Carter of Mars.
John Carter of Mars. That's what it was.
And I guess they just, what did they call it? They just call it John Carter. I forget. I
Yep,
think
they
they
called it
did.
John Carter. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, what are you thinking? I think Mars is going to put butts in the seat. And
Yeah, I would have bet on
entertain me.
something.
Don't lecture me. It isn't rocket science. Yeah, John
Yep.
Carter. Yeah, correct, John Carter. And that, so that movie had, should have gone over big.
They wanted to build a franchise, man.
Yeah, they wanted a franchise. And right away, they have the girl described as the incredible or whatever. She's indescribably beautiful.
Right.
And then they have an actress that is no doubt gorgeously built and everything like that. But then they tat her up with all sorts of tribal tats. And it's like, what are you thinking? The fleshy reality is what you should have enhanced. You don't
Right.
say you've got tribal tats from head to toe, and you can be called the indescribably beautiful. I forget her name. Any
Thoris, or
Edgar
however you
Rice.
say it.
Yeah, what is her name?
Deja Thoris,
Yeah,
I think is
Deja
that.
Thoris. Yeah, and well, you missed.
Yep.
Swing and a miss.
They tried.
Oh yeah, and that movie can be rewatched. I mean, it's not a,
That's
it's
not. I
not,
watched
not
it not long ago.
yeah, it's not
It
like
has
it's
some. It has
awful.
some weird bits.
Yeah, it's got highlights like anything like that. Great film, terrible ad campaign. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, they were paranoid to call it anything Mars because the movie Mars Needs Moms had failed right before it, and supposedly that really turned them off.
hmm.
The idea of Mars, they
Mars
want to
being in the title.
de-emphasize the Mars, and I think that was a mistake. Mars Needs Moms failed because the movie's terrible. not because
Yeah,
of
man.
anything that.
Yeah, you can hear that title and say, well, not for me. I won't be there. Big deal.
Well, it's
I mean, that's the deal.
yeah,
You take a chance. You roll the dice on what demographic you're after. That's the deal.
yeah.
Genius is not realizing they can't shoehorn the demographic they want into a theater.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Godzilla -1 has got the reaction it got just on a grassroots basis. People hear it's good, and it's like, hey, I want to see a new Godzilla movie.
I want
And
to see a good Godzilla movie.
Yeah, a good Godzilla movie. You
watched
tell me
Shin-
it's a good Godzilla movie, and I'm there.
I watched Shin Godzilla
Yeah.
last weekend, and it's like they tried, but boy, they just got too boring.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Dan probably disagrees. Dan probably thinks it's great.
Oh, he gave us a whole lineage of why John Carter didn't work. They had new heads come in. The one they got behind was the Avengers, apparently. Yeah. Well, you do have to pick your shots, I guess. I mean, you can't call them idiots for saying this Avengers looks like is the way to go, because obviously that touched off a few $1 billion in revenue.
Well, I think what he's saying is they thought John Carter might upstage the Avengers.
Well, there you go.
Which, I think that's what it was.
Well,
saying.
I mean, yeah, if it had caught fire and was obviously the franchise in waiting they wanted it to be.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, it's the Avengers. What they should have looked at is the performance of the MCU up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it was still fire. I think the downfall of the MCU, or the downturn, let me put it that way, the downturn of the MCU, as much as anything, it comes along the idea that Endgame and the COVID break just made people feel like, they were releasing movies at such a breakneck speed. And then all of a sudden, you had the ability to kind of catch your breath.
Mm-hmm.
People were just like, I don't need to see this. I'm going to look at it. And they decided they were going to look at everything. And then they put out a bunch of weak movies. And it's like, I haven't seen an MCU movie in the theaters in a long time.
Yeah. Well, and I remember having some sort of enthusiasm for the idea of Scarlett Johansson in her character movie.
Yeah.
The idea of it anyway, and I still haven't seen it. But by the time I might have formulated a notion of going to see it, all the reviews were in, and it's like, hey, you're not going to want to see this. It's pretty obviously not your movie.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate, they don't. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Dan makes the bold statement: there are no bad Godzilla films. I was watching something last night, except the one with Ferris Bueller.
Dan.
That movie was not Godzilla. No, you're right. The Getting rid of Iron Man.
Let's see. I have a Godzilla movie downstairs, but it's like from 1984, I think. Godzilla something or another. I got it at the library.
Yeah, the Godzilla with the basically he is just a dinosaur with Matthew Broderick. Wim volunteers he enjoyed it, but you're right, Dan. And it had a couple of good character moments in it. I mean the characters running around after Godzilla are funny. It's got that one guy that gets stepped on and he managed to survive it by going through the toes. I thought that was a cool little character moment. And of course, what's his name? Reno or whatever his name is, the French actor that was chewing gum and got his baseball cap on.
Or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he's chewing gum, got his baseball cap on, so he's obviously American.
Yeah, that's what Americans are like.
Yeah. So that was a fun little quick character moment. That is just my taste. I never hold personal taste against anyone. No, no.
Yeah, that's you can't. There's no accounting for taste.
There is no accounting for taste. There's you'll have
Oh,
factions that'll tell you, "Oh my God, what's wrong with this Magnola guy? He doesn't even draw."
yeah, I'm with
It's
them,
like,
man. What's his
what in the
problem?
world's wrong with you, man? It's like, don't you see?
These are two different questions.
Yeah, yeah,
What's wrong with Manolia? What's wrong with Ellis?
yeah, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I like Manola. I just got tired of Hellboy. Just
Well, yeah,
became.
yeah. But even there, those stories were crafted little bits of uniqueness compared to most of what was out.
Yeah, if you say so.
Oh, people given their shot. What's that guy that's he used to do his own artwork for his stories, and he's really a good writer.
Robert Liefeld. I don't know.
Hmm, he's the guy that does the ones about like the unhappy hockey player. The
Oh,
one
Jeff
about the
Lemire.
yeah Jeff Lemire, deep sea diver, and
God, how did I get that from Unhockey Happy Player?
well, because
Un-
that was a cool character. You remembered it, the
no, it
unhappy
was.
hockey
God,
player.
what's the name of that book? I forget. I've got that. I've got the collected one that's like 6 inches wide. I don't know where it's at.
But that guy's writing is just up there. It's like when you
Yeah.
get a hold of some. I understand there is a new Brubaker book coming out. Brubaker and team Sean Phillips.
Phillips.
And I'm going to all obviously be all over that when it hits the library.
Yeah, I was just say once it gets to the light. Well,
When it hits the library, I'll be
you're as
there.
they say, you're on a fixed budget, fixed income.
Oh, you know what's not at the library that I've got a poor substitute on hold for? There's a 5 decades of what is the no? I'd have to look it up, but there's a Phillips maybe or something like that. No, no, not Phillips. I'll look up my library holds real
Oh, there
quick
you
and
go.
tell you. Um, but it's 5 decades of a certain mad writer.
Oh,
And
like Harvey
what I
Kurtzman or something. Okay.
wanted was
Yeah.
5 decades of Mort Drucker, which is a book that's out there. The book is 10 years old, though, and
Out of print.
out of print. And of course, it's worth now hundreds of dollars.
Ah.
So I can't request them to get that book. Frank Jacobs, 5 decades of his greatest works, and this is put out by.
Why won't they get that? Why can't you request that book?
Oh, I can request it. Well, I'll
You have
request
to
it
put
through
a bond down.
the Libby system, yeah, or whatever they call that system that they.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it that way. Yeah, because I want to see that book. So Frank Jacobs, and by doing that, I sideways, so they have that one. I'll be able to get, no doubt, a whole bunch of Drucker and look at a whole bunch of Drucker because you just can't avoid the fact that if you were a writer for Mad, you
Yeah, Mort
assume
Drucker was gonna. Yeah.
he was going to be part of what put you out there. And DL and Odious is streaming right along. That's part of the X that I did today. I did some inking today that I was fairly satisfied with.
Good.
Taking that step of doing some wild, just really loose preliminaries, traditional, and then scanning all of it, and then that being what I work on to ink on in the iPad. That was worth the extra step. And I'm at the halfway point on those inks, and it will come out, by golly.
Yeah, doing this Christmas card made me appreciate my inker on Black Cricket. It's like, I don't miss doing inks. And I don't know. A good inker is good.
If they called it anything but Godzilla, I would have liked it better. Okay. Needed more guys in suits.
Dan
Yeah,
is stuck on the Ferris Bueller Godzilla or whatever.
What's the deal with this Johnson guy? He seems like a freak. Who are we talking about? Johnson.
I don't know.
What were we talking about? I didn't catch up with
he's talking about Dan Johnson.
Okay, yeah.
But
Ellis, you watching Tubi? They're adding all the DC films and shows in January. It is a huge money saver. You know what? I think
Tubi. I'm watching Doctor Who on Tubi.
Yeah, Prime did that, or somebody did that. I noticed all these
added. I don't know why. That's so weird, but yeah.
Yeah, they added almost everything I missed over the past 4 years, and it's like
they had the Flash, and I
Black Adams, Shazam.
Yeah. Have you watched any of that crap?
Yeah, I haven't watched any of that, and it's like it's there though. If I want to catch up,
there you go.
There.
There is better than not there.
I'm kind of fascinated by just how big a train wreck something like a Black Adam is. Trying to turn a very popular guy like The Rock into a franchise seems like a done deal. So that means something went wrong.
I bet there was egos involved.
Mm-hmm. Well, or just story committee stuff. Hey, look at that. Yeah. Medusa. What was his name? Frank Hamlin or something like that. Hamlin.
Harry Hamlin.
Yeah.
Perseus is the. So I've been watching on Disney. They have the Percy Jackson stuff, which I never read that stuff, but I knew about it and I knew about the movies. So I watched the trailer and I watched about half of the first episode last night. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Well, they're always got the fantastic effects anymore. You got to be on board for how great effects have across the board looked anymore.
Yes. Anyway, so I've been into, and as a kid, I read a lot of mythology.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of an offshoot of being a fan of fantasy.
Talk about mythology being important. There would be no Marvel Comics without that Edith Hamilton mythology book.
Yes. In fact, I was reading that last night.
That's a great little book. Because the way, she puts out those stories, it's like all this stuff, Harryhausen stuff, everybody first refer to your Edith Hamilton tome on your gods and goddesses. Yeah.
Anyway, so I read some of that last night. I didn't get very far. The intro is very long. I've been reading do you ever read The Lord of the Rings?
I have at one time, a long time ago, and have never revisited it. Now, obviously, it'd be worth revisiting. Can't come across better writing than that.
Yeah, no, I read it as a kid. I read it as a young adult. I read it about 5 years ago. I'm thinking about reading it again on the new year. I bought a new. I think I told you this. I bought a new edition that has like the Tolkien illustrations have been added. He did
his own illustrations. A lot of
watercolors. Yeah, he did a lot of watercolors.
Dan is recommending Stargirl on Tubi. I've never heard of Stargirl.
I've heard of Stargirl, but I don't think Stargirl's on Max. Actually, it might be. But I haven't seen.
It's on Tubi. Okay. You know what I caught up with that I enjoyed quite a bit, and I didn't know it was this guy Ty. He says, Scott. Dan says, Scott, working on new Bat Black cricket this weekend. Get ready for some killer action scenes. That's what Scott wants to hear.
I was born ready for killer
Yes.
action scenes.
That's what he
Oh,
wants
that's
to
cool.
hear.
I enjoyed the last one. Had a final, I don't know how many page sequence that took place in a parking garage, which I thought was pretty cool. Got to
Yeah.
draw some different scenery and got to kind of stretch my muscles and got to use some parking lot reference that I had for years
Mm-hmm.
for another project that never went anywhere. I drew one page of it, did not get the gig, and so I kept those pictures, and
Hey, Dan says, guys, I've got to roll. You gents have a Merry Christmas.
hey, you
Yeah,
too,
Dan,
Dan.
you too. Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, he said that sometime back, and
Oh,
so he may be gone. I don't know. Yeah,
okay.
we'll find
See you,
out.
Dan.
See you, Dan. I've drawn 9 little figures, and that'll be all I need to do to let people on Instagram know I'm still around. And I can get my what do you call them? My endorphins from posting
dopamine.
on Instagram.
Oh, I was gonna show you. Oh, it's not in this sketchbook. Oh, I drew a thing that I thought looked pretty good. I've been trying to.
I did a bad thing. A bad thing.
I did a bad thing.
Yeah.
Years ago, I drew several thing samples, and I kind of got to where I thought I had a pretty good handle on the figure. You know, he's definitely one. There's a code to.
Yeah.
You know.
Every time I think I've got it, I'll do one like I just now did. Well, Scott, we hit an hour. Had a good time. And so we might get together at noon tomorrow, huh? You write me a note and tell me if you're there.
With an ETA, I will confirm that I'm going to go downtown, and I will give you an ETA of when I will be there.
Okay.
And when I'm there, I will be there probably all afternoon, because the plan is to ride with my wife, or at least until she gets off work. So. Oh, yeah, and sure. The streetcar's free on Fridays in December. Fridays and Saturdays. So if we choose to ride the streetcar, we can ride the streetcar.
I haven't been on the streetcar since they opened them, I don't think.
We went on one time.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have any, you didn't have any money or something. And we were like, hopefully you don't get caught.
What do we do? Just step onto it because we could?
We were in Bricktown. I don't know why we were doing it in Bricktown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah, this just shows you.
Yes, it shows you.
People are capable of doing awful things.
Exactly, like stealing streetcar rides.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We'll
Anything
say
else,
goodbye, everybody. Thanks.
Okay,
It's
thanks,
good to hear from you again, Scott.
Yeah, no doubt.
After all our absences.
Yes, absolutely.
The season is almost over, though. Coming up on a new year. Okay, ending it.
Yes.
There we go.